Indian, and there's been moments where I've kind of faced racism or that kind of feeling of being secluded and not really fitting in with the sector of the crowd who I was hanging out with, who were blonde and blue eyes. And then when you come here, you're like, where do I belong, on Mars? Honestly, even though I'm usually a very tactful person, I would only say there's one word for that. It's stupidity, and it's bitterness on the part of people who maybe are
jealous?
Whatever. I wouldn't give it a word, but let's just leave it at that. I think it comes from a very bitter place and an unkind place, because I've always said I'm open to criticism about the way I look or the way my films are, or bad film, good film, nice song, good performance, bad performance. But I think one has to draw the line when it comes to your family, because you and me both were talking about this before, that there are so many avenues today of media. There's newspapers, magazines, and channels.
True.
Now, anybody can just wake up and say anything about anybody, and it gets, if the person you're talking about is famous or in the public eye, it gets printed. Not just me, that goes for everybody.
Yes.
But I think there has to be that little sense of responsibility where one draws the line when it comes to things about one's, I read somewhere that I didn't know who my father was, and actually I'm adopted. I mean, imagine my mother lives not in Mars, she lives in Chennai. So, she has that internet, Google and everything. And, when she has to read that, it kind of makes you feel like, is it really worth it,
Katrina, as I said, it's about the show's Your Call, and it's about people calling and asking questions. And we have online, a director who's very fond of you, Subhash Ghai, joins us on the phone line now. Mr. Ghai, go ahead and ask your question to Katrina.
Oh, no. Hi, Subhash. I can't believe it.
My first question is that when I had met you in my office, you are so fluent in English and you are English-speaking girl, but how could you improve your Hindi so well? Within 2 years, she was amazing for me.
Because I knew I had to do a film with you in 2 years, so I knew I had 2 years. I knew I had 2 years in which to work on my Hindi, otherwise I wasn't going to do that film with you. And then I would have had to wait 2 more years for you to do your next film. So I had to grab that 2-year opportunity.
Okay, smart one. The other question is, then how do you feel working with 2 heroes, one with your Salman and one with your Ranbir, of 2 different ages?
That's a cheeky question.
Yeah, it is. But I think you of all people, I think you've worked with so many people. You've seen like stars like Jackie Shroff, and then you've come down to Rishi Ji, and then you've come to Shah Rukh Khan, and you've come to Hrithik Roshan. So I feel age doesn't matter, but I just think it matters the interest and the passion you have in your work.
But you look comfortable with both those.
Because I'm professional. I'm a good actress.
No, you're too good. You're too good.
You're not asking which hero she preferred more, Mr. Ghai.
Sorry?
I said you're not asking which hero she preferred more.
Because I know that is a secret. I will let you know later.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us. It's really nice of you to call in, and we're just going to go across, Katrina, also to somebody who knew you when you started off in your modeling days. Tarun Tahilyani has a question for you. He joins us. He joins us on video now.
So Katrina, I met you when you came to do Boom. I remember in that crummy hotel in Bandra, where I came to fit you for the opening show, that crazy 2 days we had shooting at the Gateway of India. And you said you wanted to be an actress. And you did that film, which we all know bombed, and then you went on to modeling. And very soon, and in the mercurial pace, you reached the top of the game. So what do you want, or what do you aspire to next?
I want to do films which are going to be memorable. Even if it's just 2 films, I want to do those 2 films which are going to, go down as like great films. So a film where the audience comes in, they cry, and they, it's one of those films that matter. Not that the films that I've done so far don't, but I just think I just want to kind of, just be part of films which will kind of go down in people's libraries.
That's interesting, because you're kind of known as the song and dance girls, and all your movies have had great music, and often your roles have been not much more than you doing that song and dance. It's interesting you say that. You don't enjoy that?
I love it, and I think that was a very conscious decision on my part. I said it since the time I stepped into films, back into films. I said that I wanted to be known in every household. I wanted the family audience who comes in that 15, 16 people on the weekend. I wanted them to know me and say that, you know, she's a nice girl, we like her, and let's go see her films. And for me to make that base, I think the kind of films that I did and the kind of films that I got offered was exactly appropriate for that time. And I've loved them. I mean, you know what, when you go to a school and you hear kids singing, you know, Teri Aur or any song like Khwab Dekhe or something, you know, then, you know, it's a wonderful feeling. And had I you know, done films which were more artistic in type, like say Bito Pano Ghosh film or something, I don't think that would have taken me into those places.
At least not so fast. I've got another caller online from Hyderabad, just somebody who's called into the show. Go ahead with your question for Katrina.
Yeah, hello Katrina. I wanted to ask you, is casting couch a myth or a reality?
Is the casting couch a myth or a reality? Asks from Hyderabad.
You know, see, I can only speak from my personal experience. I can't speak for other people, but I have never seen anything like that in my life. And beyond that, the reason why I would firmly believe it is a myth is 2 points. One is that just because one is willing to go beyond normal measures, it doesn't mean that a producer is going to be able to put 60, 70 crores on a film. It's too much money. Nobody has that kind of money to waste. And definitely no producer, I can tell you, has that kind of money to waste. So I think that is all just unnecessary. It can also be talked by people who, as we talked about this before, who maybe are frustrated and maybe have not managed to achieve what they feel they should have. It is a difficult industry and there is no logic to it. There isn't like, it's not like if I go to college and get a degree, I will get a job in engineering. There's no formula, yes. So.
Well, Katrina, just to ask, you were talking about films and said about which film is a turning point. In New York and now in Rajniti, it seems to have made a conscious difference, or you made a conscious choice in those roles. In Rajniti, of course, the buzz is that you're modeled loosely on Sonia Gandhi. Tell us about those two movies and why you chose these roles.
Well, I'm not modeled on Sonia Gandhi ji at all. That's actually, it's probably the most rustic kind of North Indian character I've played so far in my career. So it's actually funny because what people are going towards, it's exactly the opposite.
Right.
In 80% of my films I've played either an NRI or an NRI returned or an Indian based in London, Indian based in Canada. This is the first film where I'm not college or university or anything to do with overseas.
Yes.
I'm just a normal girl. No, she comes from a rich family, but it's somewhere in northern India.
Yes. We're just going to take a quick break and back for lots more with Katrina on Your Call right after this.